Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Chroma Zaw builds can be quite broken during Steel Path if you have the right setup. I've hit damage cap solo multiple times with multiple different Zaw builds. Today is no different. I'm going to be going over how I hit damage cap with my Hammer Zaw. And out of all the Zaws out there, Hammer Zaws and Polearm Zaws might be the strongest in the game. I don't necessarily know out of all the other Zaws. Obviously, there are multiple different Zaw combinations in the game, but as far as the actual type of Zaws go, Hammer and Polearm Zaws definitely have the potential to do some crazy damage. And the main reason I say that is because of this Arcane right here that you can put on your amp. It's called Magus Aggress, and it's absolutely broken. As you can see on Warframe melee transference, heavy blades deal plus 300% crit damage for 4 consecutive attacks, and it has a cooldown of 20 seconds. So obviously for heavy blade Zaws, this is a must-have if you're trying to do some crazy damage. So you could argue that you don't necessarily need a setup like this, especially since it's just to hit high damage numbers one time after you throw out the Exodia Contagion projectile. But in my personal opinion, it's a really fun way to play the game. And as a Chroma main whose favorite weapons happen to be Zaws, I would highly recommend this loadout to anybody who hasn't tried it. Because as you can see, hitting billions of damage cap, and then negative numbers that go beyond the damage cap is pretty badass in my opinion, considering that I'm doing this solo, and I'm doing it with my favorite weapon type in the game. I don't know, 10 out of 10 build in my opinion. So with all that being said, let's go over the loadout. I've got 5 Arcane shards on Chroma. Each of them give me melee crit damage, and whenever my energy is over 500, that damage boost doubles. I also have the Wrathful Advance Helmet ability on Chroma because this ability gives you extra melee crit chance, but even if you're not going for crazy high damage with the Zaw build, Wrathful Advance can help you out no matter which Warframe you're on in my opinion. Especially if your mod setup's good, Wrathful Advance is still the way to go. I'm not going to cover this too much in this video, but Chroma does have 2 abilities that can give the Exodia Contagion projectile a multiplicative damage buff, and that is Toxin Elemental Ward and the Fury buff from Vex Armor. As far as the mod setup on Chroma goes, this is what I'm rocking with. I got Blind Range and Transient Fortitude for the extra ability strength, 3 Umbral mods just because this is what I like to rock on my Chroma. I also got Adaptation because I feel like it's better than having something like Rolling Guard since you kind of want to take damage on Chroma. I got the Guardian Armor Augment mod. In my opinion, it's just so goated on Chroma. But arguably the most important mod for this Zaw build in particular is Vigorous Swap. The plus 165% damage you get from this mod will be multiplicative towards the Zaw projectile. Brief Respite for shields every time I cast an ability, Power Drift for extra ability strength, and then I got Mole Augmented and Arcane Energize as my Arcanes. Mole Augmented will give me 60% extra ability strength once I get 250 kills, and Arcane Energize is just really good for getting energy back fast because we have a chance to get 150 energy from 1 energy orb. It's only a 60% chance, but at the end of the day, that's better than nothing. And in my opinion, I think this is really good for this build because this build has very low efficiency, so not only do our abilities cost more energy, but the fact that I need to constantly activate Elemental Ward and Wrathful Advance means I'm gonna need as much energy as I can get with a setup like this, which is exactly why I have on Arcane Energize. But also speaking on that note, I do have my companion, who is not only my favorite companion type in the game, but specifically for this build, I got a Sahasa Kubro so that I can get energy back very consistently with the dig mod. As you can see with the dig mod, the Kubro will sniff out buried objects and dig them up with a 270% success chance, which means I have a 200% chance to guaranteed get 2 items whenever he digs and a 70% chance to get a 3rd one. I can guarantee to get 2 energy orbs with a 70% chance to get a 3rd one. That's pretty good. Now let's go ahead and go over the Hammer Zaw. These are the parts that I'm using for this Zaw. We got the Stung Grip. That's a weird word, Stung. We got the Stung Grip, the Rab V Strike, and the Vargeet 2 Ruhong link. I always recommend Vargeet 2 Ruhong as the link if you're looking for high damage with the Zaw. To each their own, there's over 1,000 different Zaw combinations for a reason, so do what you gotta do. This is just what I'm rocking with. And as far as the mod setup goes, this is what we got. Arguably the most important mod on here is the Riven mod because of the fact that I get, extra crit damage and extra crit chance. Without a good Riven mod, I don't even know if it's possible to hit damage cap with the Zaw, so I highly recommend trying to get your hands on a really good Riven for your Zaw build. Prime Pressure Point for that extra melee damage. Blood Rush gives us that extra crit chance whenever we build up the combo multiplier. And Weeping Wounds is basically the same thing, but instead of crit chance, you get status chance on your weapon. Got the Body Count mod for extra combo duration, and then I got Vicious Frost and Virulent Scourge damage, just so I can have a little bit of extra status chance and so I can get viral on this Zaw. Finally, we got the Condition Overload mod. This mod gives us extra melee damage depending on the amount of status types that are affecting the enemies we face, which can actually be really amazing for Exodia Contagion Zaws, especially when you have a really good status primer like the Kuva Nukor or the Epitaph. Anything that can apply a bunch of statuses to enemies will be really good when you pair it with Condition Overload, and my build in particular actually is not bad at all. We got 191% status chance, as you can see, and we apply these 3 status effects. I could have a better Arcane, but since this is a Zaw build, I wanted to actually put on secondary dexterity for the combo duration, and I also have primary dexterity as well. I am also bringing this Tenet Glaxion right here with a cold status build. At the end of the day, the weapons are obviously up to you and how you like to play, but I really like these weapons, and this is what works for me. The last thing I want to talk about as far as the loadout goes is the school that you can use. I specifically go with the Matarai school because of this one ability right here. This ability, Void Strike, can give you a 1000% damage buff for 8 seconds. I typically only use this ability after I'm fully set up. I got the max Vex armor damage that I can get from the Fury buff, and I got a 12 times combo multiplier. And once I apply a bunch of statuses to enemies, I typically activate Void Strike, then I activate Magus Aggress, and then I activate Wrathful Advance to do the insane damage. At the end of the day, it is quite a lot of setup, but it's so satisfying to see that negative number once you do all this setup. And as a Chroma main, I'm really vibing every time I do over the damage cap with a single swing of my melee attack. It's pretty cool, and I don't know, I just really like it. I've never tested this build against level cap enemies, so I don't necessarily know how well it would perform. It might not do as good against them compared to going on to Lua and doing a survival on Steel Path, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I don't even know how long it takes to get to level cap. I'ma assume it takes over at least 8 hours. I'll put a screenshot on the screen right now of how long it takes to get to Warframe damage cap, and I'm definitely gonna do it one day. In my entire time of playing Warframe, I've just played through the game, enjoyed the story, making builds as I go, and enjoying the boss fights. I've never been the type of player who focuses on testing out my builds against level cap enemies, although it's something that I definitely want to do in the future. Eventually, I'm gonna try it out and see how it does, even if it doesn't do that well. I'll probably have to change my build up a bit so I can actually survive the max level enemies. Regardless, for anything that's not level cap, I can definitely assure you this build is pretty fucking fun, and it will also do some crazy damage. And by the way, that's solo. If you're ever playing with a teammate who also has an Exodia Contagion Zaw, you could help them do some crazy damage. That's just the beauty of Chroma and his abilities. And at the end of the day, this is exactly why he's my favorite Warframe, because stuff like this is even possible with him. Not to shit on any other Warframe or any other damage cap build with a Zaw, or any Chroma build or any damage cap build, you know what I mean? I just personally enjoy this when I play this game, and I haven't actually made a Zaw build in a while, so doing this after a very long time has been pretty fun. Once again, if you've never tried Magus Aggress paired with a Hammer or Polearm Zaw, I highly recommend making one of those Zaws and getting that Arcane so you can try it out for yourself and do some crazy damage as well. That's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this build down in the comments, and feel free to let me know your opinion on Zaw builds in general. I've seen quite a few different opinions on Zaws, but for the most part, it's all nothing but positivity. There are a few people who like to say that they prefer using other weapons because it takes less setup to do, I guess, the same type of damage. But me personally, anything that gives me a melee projectile attack that lets me feel like I'm Zoro doing the 360 caliber Phoenix is definitely something that I'm gonna rock with in game and have a blast with, because that's just the way I like to play. Again, feel free to let me know your opinions down below. And yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.